Mike, we're back for another episode of Haven's Measure Twice, Cut Once. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Always great to be back here at Rami Films. Jennifer Lee, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. And of course, I've got more favorite people of mine and yours as well. They are the best partiers at the Haven Awards, I have to say as well. We got Laura Grist from Laura Grist Interior Design and Jaden Brothers Contracting. And of course, the lovely Dan Klassen, part of the Jaden Brothers duo. Just one. You
Yes.
never bring your brother here to talk to us.
He's never been invited.
Oh, okay. Is he not the talker of the family?
No, I think I'm the talker, but yeah, maybe I should bring him next time.
Oh,
Yeah.
it'd be a party with the five of us.
We should have. I didn't even think of that. That's bad. That's bad.
Well,
Maybe next time.
you want to be the
Yeah, I want to be the
one?
center of attention.
Yeah.
Do you share the awards with him at least?
Yes, we do. He took one home this year. Yeah.
Okay.
He's allowed to look at them for one day a week. He gets to take
we
them
took
home and
two.
look
He
at
got
them.
one home. So yeah, we share.
Custody share.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's great to have both of you back. Of course, for our listeners and viewers who are a little bit newer, we had these two fine folks on in a previous season, had such a great conversation. We thought, let's keep it going. And there's very good reason for it. They've won a whole bunch of awards. They've been nominated for awards. And of course, because season 6 is all about award-winning builders and designers and projects, we thought, great, let's bring the circle complete. We back around. Let's have them back on and let's get going. So let's get going.
We just really want an excuse to have you guys back on because they're really fun too.
Yeah. Can you guys win awards every year, please? Just for that.
We will.
Do our best.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, welcome back. For those of us who know you, obviously no introductions required, but for everyone else, Laura, maybe we'll start with you. You want to tell us a little about yourself, your company, and what magical things you do?
Well, I am I've got a little boutique interior design firm, which is, we've been doing it for about 15 years. And, our whole firm is about, our philosophy there is about, it's about families. And whether it be our families of our employees or the families we're working with, we want to make sure that everyone is kind of part of the experience of, when your house changes. So when I say families come first for our employees, it means like if you need to go off and do sports day with your kid, sure, take the time off. Go do sports day. Go have a life. Because I think that really leads into how we live in a house too. Everything's not all perfect. Things are going to be a little kind of all over the place sometimes, and you got to do and go and be with your family sometimes. So when we're working with a family, we understand that we're trying to get as much out of our conversations with them so that when in the end, we're delivering something that is perfect for their family as well. So, that's kind of where we kind of stand as a company and what we do.
Do you ever have bring your kid to work days?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when the kids come in, it's so funny because my grandchildren come in because I actually am their kind of childcare sometimes, and they'll come in and they have no idea what I do, but they love to come and pull out everything and say, I think this goes with this. And it's like, wow, do I sound like that? Like, do I look like that? But yeah, especially when kids are not feeling well too, it's like, I have my husband at home too, because my office is run out of my home. And they'll go up and play with all the toys and come down and have lunch together. It's kind of like we need to accommodate people in their work. So yeah, bring your kid to work, bring your dog to work. We get a lot of dogs in there too. It's absolutely insane sometimes.
I love it. Do you capitalize on any of their ideas that come out?
I don't know if a dog has ever come up with a lot of great design ideas or not, but if you did, good for you.
Yeah, no, we keep the dogs kind of, we don't ask them a lot of questions, but the kids, they just are so, they're like more toys, more this, more that. They're just fun to have around. Sometimes they sit on my lap and they want to use the calculator. It's like, go for it. So I will literally have a kid in my lap playing on the computer and doing, you know, my work and answering questions at the same time. And I just think that's it's kind of fun and inspiring, and, you know, you get things done, but in a different way.
It's
You
a
got to
culture.
get them. Yeah, you got to get them helping you with the design though. Like get those free ideas.
Yeah, well, I actually did a little, we're going away for Christmas. And so I had a little video, and my granddaughter made a little play that she did showing that we're going for Christmas break. And she was holding all the signs up. She had winter mittens on and everything. And then I pretended it to snow. And she said, Nana, can I do all of your commercials? It's like, sure. Yeah, you know, well, Dan, we could do commercials for you too now.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were
yes,
just
fully
talking about that.
qualified,
Yeah.
Well, Laura, I actually had the opportunity to spend a morning with you and your team a few
Yeah.
weeks ago, and I can absolutely concur. The culture you've created is amazing. What was interesting is I was sitting around waiting for you guys, and you were collaborating on a project, and it was about not a color or a design or anything else. It was actually about how the client lived in that space. And listen to a team have such a detailed conversation about what seems like such a subtle and mundane detail to the layperson
Yeah.
really speaks to why it's no surprise you keep winning all these awards, because the amount of thought. And for people who don't sit with designers and builders every day, there's so much that happens behind the scenes. And it was just really inspiring to watch you guys collaborate in that way, and to understand that you're doing that on such a broad basis for your clients, and that's how you have these wonderful relationships with them.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things I love about having more than, you know, one designer around, is that we all take part in the design. I mean, I know that some people say, you know, it's your name, you should be doing everything. It's like, I am only one person, and I am not the entire be all and end all. I need to have some input from people that are not like me. And I specifically go out and try to hire people that aren't like me. I have me. I don't need another me. I need a you and a you and a you, and I need your ideas, and I need you to bring your flavor and your, you know, your excitement to it. And they are three very different people that are designers in our firm. And we've got one that's just a decorator, and she's got a completely different aesthetic, but we talk it out. We, you know, we make sure that it all is cohesive, but it's a funny thing, you know, we're all passionate about things, but not necessarily the same things. And that's why we get such great projects, because we're all like vying for our ideas, and they're all heard for sure.
And you love working with Jaden Brothers, which there's only one of them,
Yes.
and they're unique. So
And that collaboration makes us look better.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you have
Hey?
it.
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about you for people that might have not met you
Yeah,
yet.
no, thanks. So a little bit of history about me. So I've been in the construction industry my entire life. So my dad, he's been in the industry his whole life as well. So when everybody else was out on summer vacation, going to camp and playing outside, I was working on construction
Pushing a
sites.
broom?
Yeah, so I was pushing
job site
brooms.
children. I was there with you, man.
I was using air tools when I was in grade 5. I remember shooting myself in the hand with an air gun when I was in grade 5. And my dad looked over and he saw the nail sticking into my hand. And he's like, we better pull that out. So we pulled it out. I went over, ran underwater, and I was right back to work. So that was my birth, was on a construction site at a young age. And every summer it just kept evolving.
This is
And,
why we have Child Protective Services.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
So-
why I was never allowed to use the tools on the job site.
Yeah. Yeah. So it turned into a passion. And after high school, I actually went to BCIT, got my carpentry ticket. And then I always actually had a slant towards becoming a firefighter. So I don't think I mentioned this last time, but I was
No.
actually a firefighter for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And I guess because construction was so in my blood, I actually ended up leaving the fire department and becoming partners with my brother in my mid-20s. And we've been partners for 17 years now. So yeah, so that's kind of where I started and how the whole thing birthed with me and my brother.
And how did you guys get connected? Because you guys have been working together as a
Yeah.
dynamic duo for quite a long time. You've created some amazing results, and you keep underscoring the value of partnerships
Yeah.
between great people in this industry. How did you guys get connected in the first place, and how do you find synergy in the projects you work on?
Well, our first connection was 7 years ago.
Yep.
All right, so this was a project in Maple Ridge, and I think the designer, you had connected with Marion Patterson.
Yep.
And then somehow Marion had contacted me looking for a contractor, and that's how we first met, right?
Well, no, you guys were on the job site with a different designer, and she didn't like her. She just
Is that what
the
Okay.
yeah, she just didn't mesh. So she phoned me out of the blue, and she's like, "Can you come? These guys are ready to start work." And I walked in there, and Jesse and Dan were there, and Dan doesn't usually come to the job site, so I didn't know that at the time. But I walk in, and there's these two guys, and one of their workers was there, and the homeowner, and I'm looking around thinking, wow, is this an interview or what? Because they were just all staring at me. And I said, so what's the problem? And they went through a few things, and I said, to me, I look at a space very simply, and I said, why don't you just move it over there? And they all went, what a great idea. And I thought, wow, these guys are thick. And then I realized, no, they're wonderful. I love them. No, and that's the very first project we did.
We're thick. Okay.
No.
Wow.
Okay, I'll remember.
was
I can put that in my back pocket.
No, it was funny because after that project, we did the material list. I mean, it's quite a bit to do when you're working with someone. We did the material list, we did the plans. They seemed to like us, and then they said, "Can we just talk about having kind of a partnership?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And it's funny because from that first time that we met you,
Yeah.
I just love these guys. They're so. I mean, we work with lots of builders, but we have got such a rhythm now, and it's so seamless that I'm kind of sad because in the beginning when were
You're
just
sad that it's so seamless?
yeah,
Wow.
no,
I think
that-
that's
like
something to be
really-
happy about.
I thought you guys were thick at the beginning, so I'm glad that you're still
So
together.
it's sad and
And so
thick.
you're
Okay.
But getting better.
It's getting better.
No,
We're
it was-
progressing. We're winning awards. Okay.
the problem is that we got so good at it, we don't see them that much. And I
Yeah.
missed that. I
Yeah.
really missed seeing them because there was always something on the job site. It's like, well, you have to do. But now
Now we know how you think. We share a brain, and we
yeah,
don't need to see
exactly.
each
So
other.
we don't
Yeah.
see each other. So like I'm telling you, this is one of the things early in the career. They had just gotten new signs and they had put them out in the front lawns. You know those front lawn signs?
Yeah.
And I love them. I thought, well, I'm going to get a little sign too because I'm
But then you cheaped out on yours, though. It kind of.
Well, we're getting the real dirt today.
It
Yeah, like-
kind of looked like you went to Walmart and just grabbed something. Did you go to Walmart?
No,
Okay.
I did it on my own photocopy, and I
Okay.
got two hangers, and I stuck
Yeah.
it up the
I
hanger
think
thing.
I mentioned that.
Yeah,
you need to
exactly.
upgrade your signs.
But
Yeah.
you know what they did? They
I'm shocked you guys are still working together.
I know.
Like-
They took my sign, they put it in front of the Johnny on the spot, and it says another project by Laura Grist Interior Design, and they're all coming around waving on social media. Well, I was like, these guys, I love these guys. You know, if you can't have a laugh, there's nothing. So that's why I miss them. That's why I miss being around them. But
Yeah,
we are.
you're making it out to be a big sad thing. We see each other still.
I was like, do you never talk to each
We
other?
talk.
It
We're
also
behind-
says a lot that you guys trust each other enough,
Well,
that
Yeah,
you
that's
understand
true.
each other
Yeah.
enough. That you
It
can,
is.
Everyone can
Yeah.
do what they need to do, and at the end, in the middle, is the homeowner who can go, okay, I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
because they're taking care of
They
it.
are-
I guess
I
it's
mean, that's
similar to
it.
me and my brother's relationship. So my brother is on site way more than I am, and I'm kind of behind the scenes. I do the budgeting, the sales. I'm like the CFO, the CSO, the CEO, and
That's why you
So-
don't bring him on the podcast.
yeah. So
He's
I'm
working.
I'm behind the scenes, and I trust my brothers to be on site making big decisions
Yeah.
and that are going to affect the outcome of a huge project, right? So, and Laura trusts Jesse. There's a lot of trust. So
Yeah.
that's developed over time, and I think that's why we can be apart from each other and still create awesome stuff.
And that's
So-
something we talk about all the time on
Yeah.
this podcast is as the client, you really have to trust your team as well. And so if we
Yeah.
know that you guys have trust with the interior designer and the other people that you work with to make the project come to fruition, that makes us feel better as a homeowner.
For sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. And on the top subject of team, we are part of a great team here. This podcast doesn't just happen. It happens because of wonderful guests like you, and it happens because of our wonderful podcast partners. We just take a couple moments to quickly thank them, and then we're going to get back to this conversation. We're going to dig a little bit further into the projects themselves.
Measure Twice, Cut Once is grateful to our podcast partners, FortisBC, Vicostone Canada Inc., and Trail Appliances. Support from our partners helps us share expert knowledge and resources with families looking to build, design, and renovate the home right for you. Vicostone is renowned for providing exquisite quartz slabs, ideal for both kitchen countertops and vanities. Their extensive range caters to diverse preferences, offering everything from the versatile builder collection to the opulent and luxurious designs. Established as a reliable and preferred choice in the industry, they have earned the trust and admiration of local stone fabricators and interior designers. Trail Appliances makes everyday life better with the best selection in Western Canada, hassle-free delivery, and price match guarantee. So you'll always get the best deal. Trail Appliances make sure you'll love buying an appliance as much as you love using it. And we all need reliable and efficient equipment for better comfort, health, and safety of our homes. Whether you want to adopt some energy saving habits or take on a major energy efficiency upgrade, no matter what your budget, FortisBC can help you save energy. Be sure to visit fortisbc.com/rebates, where you can also find amazing tips on low and no cost ways to save energy, plus buying advice for energy efficient products.
All right, welcome back. Of course, season 6 is all about award-winning projects and what it takes to win an award, what these awards mean. And what's really special is you guys were nominated for 6 awards this year. So number 1, congratulations. And 2, you won 2. So big, super huge congratulations.
Thank you.
2 projects we're going to talk about today, Through the Looking Glass and Pen and Ink. So let's start with Through the Looking Glass. Laura, can you maybe give us a little bit of background on that project so we understand the why it was created and some of the thought that went into creating that project?
Yeah, I mean, we went into that project with a client that we had already done some work with, and they really liked our work as well as the Jaden brothers.
Jaden
Wor-
Brothers.
Oh gosh,
See,
Yeah.
I got the
So
name right.
we've only been working together for 7 years, and she still doesn't know. how
but
to
they're not
pronounce
on
our
site
name.
very
That's
much, so
okay.
they don't
Yeah,
have
so
time to have.
because we're not on site together. That's why.
that's why.
Okay.
So
Okay, carry on.
visit me more. That's all I can say. Dang it. So anyways, so we'd already known the client, and the house was in the 90s kind of era, and it was really compartmentalized, and there were rooms that they didn't even use. It was super dark, and it felt like it was really closed in. They were using darker colors, and they had a formal dining room that they said they never used. So they wanted lots of light, and that's a big thing for everyone. And a lot of times we can do that through actual just lighting with recessed lighting and things like that. But there was an opportunity to do some real lovely natural lighting. So in order to do that, we decided to take out the windows. I know that's kind of anti-intuitive, but instead we put in these the windows above the cabinets, the upper cabinets, and they brought in the light. We didn't waste the space because it was a 9-foot ceiling, so we had a little bit more play. And we actually opened up the walls, and instead of putting in pony walls or, hiding it, we actually did a glass surround so that you could see from the very front, which had the most light in the house, brought it right through the kitchen and then through the windows above the cabinetry. And we also did a great corner window in the, we removed the fireplace, which was in an awkward place that really took away their view from the forest and that, and moved it to an interior wall instead of the exterior kind of glass wall window, and opened up the patio so that they could get to the patio from both corners of the house, from the family room and the kitchen that came open. So as far as their wants, I think we hit all their wants in just doing the natural light as much as we could. So yeah, it was lovely.
And the wall you talked about removing, so that there was a wall that separated the dining room from the kitchen, which went straight across and created 2 separate areas. So the wall that we took out created one big open concept, which helped to bring the light in from the front and the back. So now when you walk in there, if you were in there before and you walked in afterwards, you wouldn't believe the difference in the
Yeah.
amount of light just from doing that simple thing of taking out a wall, and just allowing the light to come in and then throwing a couple of windows up high, and there you go. We've got light.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So,
Oh, I love that. And getting rid of the dining room, I'm so on board with, because I grew up
Yeah.
with a dining room, and it's like we're not in Downton Abbey. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need one. Like, I just feel like they're wasted space because we only ever used it during occasions.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got 120 square feet that you use once or twice a year. It's like, why don't we just make a bigger kitchen, throw a huge island in there that we can use year round? And that's basically what we did
Yeah.
at Lenobles. They've
Oh,
got
yeah.
10 or 12-foot island in there that kind of comes into where the dining room was. So yeah,
That's like a continent, not an island.
Yeah, it was
yeah,
beautiful.
exactly.
So, Laura, I
Yeah.
have a question for you. When you're talking about changing windows and stuff, how do you compensate for that? Can you compensate for that using the lights inside the house, or how do you plan with and manage and balance the light, the outside light and the inside light?
Well, the outside light, it's the preferred kind of light, right? I mean, no one wants to go around and be under, constant light that's not natural. So even though we're getting really good at getting kind of sunlight in and with the LED lights that we have, because they have kind of a tone that can mimic. There's nothing better than being able to look out a window or feel the sun come in, or, have we're part of a whole bigger world than just the kitchen. So when we can look out and see what's happening, it makes such a huge difference. It really is something that's inside us that, always seeks to be outside, that wants the trees, that wants the natural sunlight. So it's just what people need. So
And
we
this,
try to
yeah,
accommodate
and
that.
this home was built right on a green belt, so for them to be able
Mm,
to take advantage of looking out and seeing the trees
mm,
was awesome. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Did you put any like French doors or anything to open up onto the green belt or
yeah. So we put in a sliding kind of big wall system.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was basically like a sliding glass doors that met in the middle, and it can open up this way. So I think we ended up with about a 10-foot opening,
Yeah.
but there was also glass fixed panels on each side. So I think altogether is about 16 feet of glass that you could see from sitting in the family room. You could look right outside to the green belt.
Wow.
So, and then we also increased. So it was a bigger project than just the kitchen. We won an award for, actually, we won the award for the whole project and
Yeah.
just the kitchen, right? So,
Hmm.
but we also did their deck outside off of that 16-foot opening. So we increased the size of the deck by about 2 or 3 fold. So they've got a deck that's about 30 feet by 14 feet now. So they walk out of this nice big opening onto a big deck looking at a green belt. And that can all be seen from standing in front of the island. So you can imagine just standing in there prepping for dinner and just being able to look out and see just green and all that light coming in. So yeah,
And great for parties too, because I
yeah,
love those, like, that's not the technical term, but like the folding wall of glass is what I'm going to call it. That's why I don't do what you guys do, but I
yeah,
love those opposed to like just a French door. Now you can like have that open, people
yeah,
can be on the deck and they can come in and out, and it's very
Well, it's another
lovely.
living space,
Yeah.
really. It's not just a patio door anymore. It's
yeah.
it's it's a living space where you can actually sit half in and half out of the house. I mean, we've actually moved the fireplace to the outside wall so that if you are outside and the fireplace was on, you could still kind of be part of the
Love it.
fireplace. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
So, Dan, I got a question for
Yeah.
you. Obviously, when you open up the walls of a house, you never know what you're going to get. Now, maybe there's some
True.
variables. Was the house built in the 90s or the 1960s?
Hmm.
When you got into this project, were there any issues that you found as you got into it that had to be corrected or rectified?
There was a few things. I wouldn't call them major issues. It's nothing we hadn't seen before, but because of removing the wall that separated the dining room and the kitchen, we had to relocate some things. So there was a heat run that fed upstairs that we had to relocate, and there was also some plumbing lines that had to get relocated. So that's fairly standard.
What kind of budgetary implications would be though? Because we talk a lot about, okay, if
Yeah,
I have $100,000 for this
yeah,
project and it's $100,000 project,
yeah,
what you described might change those numbers. So
yeah,
how would that have affected the budget, and how should people listening or watching this
yeah.
approach a renovation like this in terms of budgetary allotments?
Yeah. So in terms of budget, I mean, right off the bat, I always recommend to clients to have a 10% contingency. But really, at the very beginning of the project, I dive in quite deep and create a fairly detailed budget that accounts for things like this. So, for example, like this project had some structural upgrades that have to happen. So because we took out that wall plus another section of a shorter wall
Yeah.
that separated the family room, we had to put in a couple of beams, which we knew was going to happen. But anytime we do structural work or there's some things that are hidden behind the walls, I always kind of estimate based on experience and put kind of a time and material allowance on it. So in advance, the clients already know, okay, there's going to be something behind those walls. I'm fairly confident I know what's behind those walls, but you still need to have a contingency of 10% just in case something comes up, right? Because I can't come in there on the first meeting and rip the drywall off the walls and expose everything and say, okay, this is what we're up against. So it's just not realistic. But based on our experience, this is what we're going to be up against. And yeah.
I think that's one thing that you guys are amazing at. And I think it's, we help in that too, is that when we're doing a project together, Dan and I both have kind of split duties. And so what we do is all the materials that we can actually get numbers for, we do that in advance of his final budget so that when we're talking about tile numbers, we're not talking about a random tile kind of in the air kind of thing. We actually have the tile because we've already spec'd it for the client. They've already approved it. They know exactly how much that's going to be. They know exactly how much the plumbing's going to be. So when we hand that package over to Dan, he's working on real numbers. He's not working on, oh, it's going to be $3 a square foot or $10 a square foot. He knows exactly what they've already chosen so that when we get to it, by the end, we've got you got some really great numbers. So you're not pulling it out of the air. You are completely ahead of the game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of our process, so I'm glad you brought it up. So usually the way we start a project, I'll meet a client typically before Laura even meets them. And I'll create the initial budget. We'll develop a rough scope together, and I'll put kind of a budget range on that. And I'll say, look, I think it's going to be between X and X based on this scope. And then I'll create the budget also with different allowance figures for all the finishes. So from cabinetry to flooring to tile, lighting, all those types of things, right? And then I'll present that to the client. If they're comfortable with that, they trust us, they want to move on. And at that point, we would typically take a small deposit. Then I dump that into Laura's lap and she runs with it. So I step back and now Laura's meeting with the clients and she's using what I've already created as a bit of a guide to try to stay on budget. And then there's a lot of back and forth for several weeks. And once that's done and we've selected all the materials and we've got costing on all those materials, then I step back in and work towards giving them a fixed budget. So for example, like this looking through what do we call this project? Looking through something.
Glass.
You don't know the name of your award winner.
So for this project, we did have a few allowances. So everything's not a fixed price. So because of the structural upgrades that we did on this project, I still left that as an allowance figure, but it was based on experience and a very educated figure. So I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. It might have been in the $20,000 ballpark for the structural upgrades. But that's a time and material allowance based on our experience and what we think we're going to come up against. So
I can't stress it enough, even coming from a building family, been around it for a long time, to the consumer is so important. We talk about this all the time, to have a builder that knows what they're doing. The fact that you are foreseeing the future and you're accounting for possible things is such an important conversation, because sometimes people get fixed price and then they open the walls up and they run into things like asbestos that maybe the contractor has not foreseen. And then they're like, but you told me it was going to cost this and now I got to do this.
And I think part of that is just my upbringing. So I've been around sites from conception to completion. So because of my experience, that's why I can be confident in a fixed budget. I think a lot of guys who get into the cost plus contracts where you don't necessarily know what the total project cost is going to be until the end, they may not necessarily be just confident in what is behind those walls, what's going to happen, because they just don't have the experience. Because sometimes you'll see, nothing against like a tile setter, but I know of companies where a tile setter started up a contracting company. Now he's doing entire projects, but his only experience has been just laying tile, right? So nothing against him, but he just doesn't know everything that it takes to put a whole project together. And that's why I can be confident in a fixed budget, just because of our experience and have seen everything from the ground up.
Yeah, and there's another advantage as well. We spend a lot of time talking about budget. So the cost of materials and the cost of labor. What we don't spend a lot of time talking about is the cost of holding a property while there are delays. If you don't have an integrated planning and design process as you do, there could be delays from permits, or you open up the walls and, oh, we didn't think there'd be asbestos in this house from the 1940s. What a shock, or whatever the case may be. So a lot of people aren't really talking about the implications for your budget in terms of time, just dollars and cents. And that's a huge, huge, huge one.
Yeah.
And just want to mention that on the topic of budget, which is $149,000 for this kitchen renovation we're just talking about, but it was the award winner for best kitchen under 150,000. So
Yeah.
that's the winner of this, and it's amazing. And you guys have another great award winner that I kind of want to switch gears and talk about. This is Pen and Ink, best kitchen renovation, under 175,000. So let's talk about that one. What are some of the challenges? Paint the picture.
Challenges? Do you want to paint the picture and I'll talk about the challenges?
Sure.
Wait,
I'll
before
do
we
it.
do any of this, I have to know, how do you come up with the names for these
Oh
projects?
my Lord.
That's
Well,
why I
you didn't
can't
even
remember
know
them.
what they
Laura
are, so I
Laura
don't
comes
know.
up with the names. That's why I can't remember them, because Laura comes up with them.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
fantastic, though.
a lot of people, a lot of design companies, you know, or construction companies, they send it off and they have other people that do it. You know, I do ours for the awards, and all the girls in the office walk around going, "What about Fantasy 5?" And it's like, no, we can't do that. What about Girdled on a Budget? And I'm like, no, 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 come on, you guys, be serious.
Girdle on a budget, did you say?
Yeah, sure. Why
Yeah,
not?
okay. Well,
Because we hear some of the ones that come out of the thing. It's like Fish on Fifth. It's like, what has fish got to do with it? So we spend a lot of time going through this. So I'm a little more artsy fartsy. So I like pen and ink. Do I know what it means? Absolutely not. It sounded good at the time. So yes, that's where I got it. It sounded good.
I like it.
So I thought it actually meant something.
No,
It has nothing to do with the project.
no, nothing.
but through the looking glass, I was thinking
That's
because
the
of all
windows.
the glass
That's
windows.
what I. That's
But
what
so
I did.
pen and ink, though, you were just like, I like it.
Client owned a pen store.
Well, you know what? It was kind of black and white. So pen.
Oh, okay, so there is a meaning
Okay.
behind
Well,
it.
Yeah, come
I
on.
mean, very loosely.
Give yourself some credit.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
just create the story for the podcast.
Well, I was holding a pen. No. Yeah, no, like the design for that one was a really, it was a really large space. And it's really tough when you come into a kitchen that was already fairly nice. You know, it was fairly
You're
nice.
being honest, it was actually
I,
kind of nice.
yeah, I have to be honest. And it was fairly
Yeah, we
nice.
go into projects and our guys are ready to do demo and they're like, why are we demolishing this? This place looks fantastic. It's way better than my house.
Yeah, I know. And
But-
it's like and sometimes that is tough. But in this particular case, it was not the woman's style. They had bought the house. She had lived with it for a lot of years, and she's like, "But this isn't me. This isn't what I want. This is nothing like I want things that are more. I like to bake. I don't like this." So we had some interesting things that we wanted to do. So we took the time to listen to what she needed. She didn't want a separate dining room, which she had two tables, ones that were like maybe 5 feet from each other. One was a dining room table and one was her kitchen table. And I'm like, I don't understand why we have two tables that you can literally see. So we wanted to expand the space because she wanted to have it more of a casual eating area at their island. So we loved that. And we wanted to she just wanted new, more contemporary things. And so it wasn't much of a challenge for us, but it was more like getting to stretch our kind of design ideas because she was open. This favorite clients, if you guys want to be a client, I love it when you're open because you know what? We can do great things. So
So
she
if you're
was
not
really
open, don't come.
yeah, if
Laura.
you're not open, I might not know.
And if your bank account's quite wide open, that's good too.
Oh, that's my favorite. No, no. I mean,
Maybe cut that part out.
that. There are a few clients though that trust the process, and she was one of them that said, "You know what? I'm happy with whatever you want to do." It's like, okay, that sounds amazing. So that's what we kind of did. We were off to the races with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you had some challenges.
There were some challenges. So I hate to be caught off guard. So this one actually did catch me off guard. So in the existing kitchen, there was a 3-foot wall that bookended the cabinetry. And unbeknownst to us, until we opened up the drywall, this was actually the end of that wall was supporting a beam above.
Uh-oh.
So a bit of a miss, but easily done. So anyways, so we exposed everything. We realized there's a beam there sitting on the end of this wall that Laura had in her drawings removed. So somehow we have to support the structure above without creating a point load in that same area. So we had to support everything. We ended up putting in 3 different beams, one going perpendicular to 2 other ones. It ended up costing $20,000. So when we talk about contingencies, This was one of those things that that triggered a contingency fund.
And did you have one in place?
Well, the homeowner had a contingency fund.
Good.
Yes.
Because they had a
So,
good contractor.
yes, exactly. That mentioned that at the beginning to have a contingency. So it doesn't happen very often, but once in a while things like this happen. You just never know how stuff is built until we rip the drywall off. And that's what happened. So yeah.
But to be fair, this doesn't always happen, and
No.
when it does, it's kind of if
It's
the
rare,
person,
very
yeah,
rare.
it's very rare. And if the person came back and said, "Look, Dan,
Yeah.
I'd rather not do that,"
Yeah.
what
We
we
could have
do
worked with
is
it.
we pivot.
Yeah.
We're okay with pivoting. We're okay with we're not going to dump the design
Yeah.
100%, but people have got to know that if you have a set budget and you say, you know what, I'd rather not do something that extreme. Okay, we'll make it happen. But the beauty of working with these guys is, I don't get that call very often where they say, I went to the client and they said, we need to keep that in.
Yeah.
So like problems for designers to work with these guys, I don't actually hear of the problems. I hear solutions or how we're going to
Yeah.
fix things, but I hear nothing of the problems.
Well,
They're so good.
And like you said, the clients had a choice. They didn't have to actually put the new beams in and take that wall out. Laura could have worked with it and made it an awesome space, right? But they chose to let's move forward and we want to make it happen. So yeah.
And they created a great space for themselves in the process as well.
Yeah.
It's been phenomenal. It's just been phenomenal talking to you guys again. I always have such a great time when you're in.
Yeah.
It's like seeing a bunch of old friends and learning a bunch
High
of the
five.
process. Exactly. We do want to say thank you, a huge thank you. Thanks for leaving her hanging, by the way.
Yeah, he's like ignoring you.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
yeah.
I thought you were saying high five to him. I wasn't looking
No,
at you.
I thought you were purposely looking
Oh,
away
sorry.
from her. I was like,
Can we redo the whole video on that?
No, that was great. That's gold.
Okay.
We do want to say
Sorry,
a huge
Laura.
thank you to you guys for coming in today to share your stories, your background, and your philosophies. Love the energy that you guys have working with each other and how you feed on each other's creativity and energy. So much great conversation we had today, and so great to take a deep dive into two award-winning projects. A lot of information we covered. There's a couple lessons I want to hone in on, though, because I think they're really, really important. The first was on your first project, how everything came together. And it came together, and the lesson was that pre-planning with the builder, the designer, and the homeowner created results that everybody loved. And on the second, pen and ink, it was all about contingency. There are things that happen when we open up walls. As a homeowner, it is in our best interest to, number one, work with a great builder and design team who can help anticipate as many of these as possible. But hey, we can't anticipate everything. So it's important to have a contingency plan and a contingency budget to get great results.
Yes. High five to that.
Now we can do
I
it.
would never leave you hanging.
oh.
Wow.
You guys are such a great team, and that's why I think your clients love working with you. Obviously, we had a lot of fun today, but when it comes down to it, you guys trust each other, and that's why you come out with some award winners. Thank you for coming today, but before we go, we always have one last tip, just one more piece of gold. I know you gave us a lot, but not a combined answer, but one each.
You go first.
Me first. Okay. What did I say last time?
No, you can't do that. You gotta have a new tip.
A new tip. I don't know if I said this last time, but you really got to do your homework on who you hire. I mean, to me, it sounds like common sense, but there are a lot of tools in place to help you do that. The Home Builder Association is a great place to look. If you're a reputable contractor, you'll be registered with the Home Builder Association of Vancouver. So if you look there, that'll put you in touch with some great contractors. And then when you dig deeper into those contractors, look for the certifications that they have. Make sure they're licensed builders. Make sure they have. As a company, we're a certified renovation company. So little things like that, they mean a lot. And yeah, so that would be my recommendation, my tip.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say ditto.
No.
Probably, I think part of the thing that we run up against a lot is that people see too much things on TV. And it's exacerbating because, we just want to do a good job, but we are not TV. It's a process. And so what I'd love people to do is just trust us. We have been doing this a long time. and we only want the best for our clients. So if you're engaged with a good interior designer, and there's lots out there, I'm not going to say I am the best. I am the best.
Good plug, man.
But you know, you need to trust that the process is in your best interest. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're trying to do it as a collaboration with your thoughts, and then bringing in our little bit of you know, a little bit of a push to make sure you know that you're getting the best design that you're, and of course, working with a great contractor is imperative.
And a great
Absolutely.
designer, yes.
I actually think you guys would have a great reality TV show. It'd be really fun to watch.
Yeah, when they put my sign in that toilet, I might have edited that part.
Yeah.
One
No,
more
that's the opening shot.
Yeah, that's the hook right there.
One more question before we go. Very important question. Where did you put your Haven Awards that you just won? Where are they?
Mine are in my office, up on my desk, up kind of elevated 4 feet up,
Okay.
within 5 feet of me. So it reminds me every morning why we do this.
Nice,
right?
nice.
Where are
yeah.
yours? In the basement in a box?
No, mine are in my refrigerator, so that everyone that goes into my refrigerator has to move one slightly, and
Oh,
they pull it out and
Oh wow.
they put it back. Yeah, of course. Why
Okay.
wouldn't I put it in my refrigerator?
there you go. People know you're award winner. When you
Yeah,
win.
exactly. So when now that I've gotten a few from Haven, you open it up and it's
You're going to need a bigger fridge.
you have to start it in the freezer now.
Yeah.
Well, our partners at Trail Appliances would be happy to help you out, I'm sure. Hey, you know, you guys have given so much great information, so many great tips, and I want to give a little tip out as well. It has nothing to do with construction or anything. It actually has to do with barbecues specifically.
Oh.
And my tip is this: do you want to win a barbecue? Anybody want to win a nice
I
barbecue?
do.
All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
here's the deal. You already listened
Let's
to Measure
win.
Twice, Cut Once, the podcast from Haven. All you have to do is like us, tell your family, tell your friends, even strangers on the street. Doesn't really matter. Just tell as many people as you can, and you will be entered for a chance to win a Napoleon Prestige P500 stainless steel natural gas barbecue valued at $1,500, courtesy of our fantastic podcast partners at FortisBC. All you got to do is go to haven.ca/measure twice, cut once, and you could be entered for a chance to win as well.
And when you win that, Mike will come to your house with a rack of ribs.
Oh wow.
Sounds like I'm going to have a
Sign me
busy
up.
spring.
Yes. And for notes and links to everything mentioned on today's episode, including resources shared by Dan and Laura, go to haven.ca/measure twice, cut once. A big thank you again to Trail Appliances, FortisBC, Vicostone Canada, and Rami Films. And thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having
Thank
us. It's
you.
been awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited. I could go for some ribs right now.
You guys, the third time you come on, you get a special door prize, right?
Oh,
Nice.
really?
Yeah.
Good. We're back.
We're back. Yeah. And we have so much more to talk about.
We do.
Great. We look forward to it as always.